Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief, but I've become a real fan of this PPP program. It's been very successful, and Mr. Seamus, it's nice that I can talk to someone who's live and in here, and I appreciate that. I want to thank you for your service to our country and to the economy. Expanding a two-person operation to a national manufacturing company is no small feat, and I greatly appreciate your work. Your testimony highlights the benefits of the PPP loan provided to your business and employees. Similarly, in my state of Oklahoma, in the town of Owasso, it's located just north of Tulsa, the Owasso Auto Care was able to receive this SBA loan and keep their 4 employees on the payroll. I mean, it was already doomed, they thought at that time. And while these two operations may vary in size and mission, you both have one thing in common, that is the success from this program. So I would say that, can you discuss some of the ways your business was able to utilize this program and the fact that large and small businesses can use it, and what you envision as the next step for businesses like yours and our Owasso Auto Care operation?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. I will make one opening comment. I had the pleasure of serving in the Air Force in your state at Vance Air Force Base under the 71st Flying Training Wing, and that was a great privilege. And I'm a big fan of Oklahoma, amazing state.
What year were you there?
I was there from 2004 through 2009. So
I have every reason to believe that you and I met around the 2005 time frame.
Yes, sir.
I chaired the Armed Services Committee of the Senate Armed Services Committee, and at that time I was not chairman, but I was very, very active in it. We've done a great job at Vance, and I don't know whether you've seen some of the things recently that they've been doing, but that's a real success story.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So to answer your question, I think there's a hybrid approach that's necessary here. I feel like we have to be somewhat careful about the level of funding that's available now or may be available in the future. When we entered the COVID pandemic in early March, our position was there's no help coming. We have to figure this out. And we're blessed to have an incredible team that's very, very devoted to that. And so everything that came later with the Paycheck Protection Program and the other assistance that's being offered was fantastic. But there's still a burden on small businesses to lead their organizations and to take care of their people. And it's not something that can be solved with a limitless number of dollars or programs. We have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to care for my employees and to innovate and find ways to be successful in an economy that none of us have ever experienced before. There's still economic activity taking place. It's growing, and I can validate that inside our organization, and I hope that the business you're referencing is starting to feel that as well. And so what I would say is a challenge to all of us small business owners is be as disciplined as we possibly can, take care of our people, and start finding ways that we can function as best as possible in this environment. And then anything that comes from this panel, from this committee, from the federal government is only going to give us that greater durability, that bridge that we need to get to the other side.
I'll tell you it would be a good idea, I think, because that actually approaches the only other question I had to ask you, and that is what should we, what are some of the aspects that Congress should keep in mind as we go forward. And while you've given us some ideas there, it might be a good idea, Mr. Chairman, if he were to give us a white paper on some specific things to look for and why, and judging from your experiences. What would you, I'll go ahead and make that request, but any comments on that you might have right now?
Specific to steps that can be taken inside small business, sir?
Yes.
Well, I can tell you what happened with us. We rallied our entire team very early on. We made some really, really tough decisions. And there's this sense of sacrifice that, especially for those in uniform, that's a shared sacrifice, and that everyone has to row together. I'm about to be out of time, but I'll share a sentiment. I was at Dover receiving the remains of one of my friends who was killed overseas, and his father was there with me, who was a Vietnam veteran. And he said, when joy is shared, it is multiplied, and when sorrow is shared, it is divided. And I think about that in the context of where we sit today, and I think companies have to think the same way. The funding is great, but if I can't sustain a business that's relevant today and potentially in 6 months, then I'm not saving anything. And so it's a shared sacrifice inside those organizations, I think. Everyone has to take a hit. And in our organization, we all did it. We had to furlough some of our team. We're happy to have them back. Another part of our team, everyone else took a 50% decrease in compensation. And that's on top of losing 2/3 of our revenue. That was what we had to do just to say, I can make it to the end of March. I can make it to April 15th. And so what I would say, and I'm happy to put much of this in writing and share it with you, sir, is we have an obligation to lead inside our organizations and strive to get to the other side in the best position we can so we can still be relevant.
That'd be great. That'd be very helpful. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.